Welcome back to the Enlightened Savage. I'm D, and I'm only wearing one sock. Can you guess where? So I've been running down the ramifications of the Missouri 2018 ballot, and this time I want to talk about some news that's come about as a result of something I didn't cover last month, the Senate race. A complaint has been filed against Josh Hawley by the American Legal Defense Fund. The complaint alleges that Hawley used public funds to aid his campaign, and Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft has just about a week left to decide whether he's going to investigate this. The story goes like this. A few years ago, Josh Hawley ran for Attorney General, and when he did so, he employed the services of two political consultants, a Timmy Teepel and a Gail Gitcho. A political consultant is someone whose job it is to help you win an election. It's also someone whose job it is to help raise your public profile and improve your public image, both on a state and a national level. And when he won that election, he decided to keep them on. That's not unheard of, but it is a clear indication of a considered strategy for election, be it re-election or election to another office, and it is unusual. Even more unusual is the fact that Josh Hawley gave them the authority to run his office, and when I say his office, I mean the physical office of the Attorney General. Apparently, Teepel would run staff meetings, and staff would have to clear things with one or both of the consultants as if they were the Attorney General themselves. The staff have repeatedly reported being unclear on the chain of command and wondering whether the directions they've been given were in service to the office of AG or intended entirely to make Hawley look better. The staff have apparently reported this both in office and to media outlets. Shout out to the Kansas City Star, who have done a ton of fantastic work in following this from the very beginning. I'm going to leave a link in the description to the most recent article so you can get all the details. Here's a possible example of this. The Attorney General's office under Hawley directed a lot of attention, energy, and by extension, public funds towards sex trafficking. It's a hot button issue, and when you investigate something like that, you look like a good guy, and rightfully so. Nevertheless, in all the time that they spent investigating it in Missouri, the AG's office failed to come up with one felony conviction. Timeout, disclaimer. That is not evidence of anything at all, and I'm not saying such crimes don't deserve to be investigated even in Missouri. All I'm saying is that that is one example of a way that he might have been using the office to make himself look better in the public eye. And it's unclear at this time, at least to me, if those directions came from either political consultant or from Hawley himself. Missouri Republican officials have countered the accusation, stating that since he paid them from his own campaign fund and not from taxpayer money, it doesn't break the law, meaning that nuh-uh is in fact a valid legal argument. And that's where the story ends, unless Jay Ashcroft wants to investigate this, and I really think that he should. If there are any Republicans out there, if there are any people out there who disagree with me, fair enough, but hear me out for just a minute here. If you were to tell this story in one sentence, it might sound something like this. Josh Hawley's staff, civil servants, paid for by the public, are concerned that they're taking orders from two people whose primary job is to get Josh Hawley elected. That's a good enough reason to look into things. I'm not a Republican. I didn't vote for Hawley. I voted for McCaskill, and not because I love McCaskill, but because she looked like the least rotten banana in the bunch. She looked like the most honest candidate who had the best chance of doing something good. And I'm sure you voted for Hawley for the exact same reason. Now, if he's doing something he shouldn't be doing, don't you still want to know about it? Missouri is a red state, and it has been for as long as I've lived there, but Missouri just voted in favor of a constitutional amendment that increased transparency in our government and reduced the influence of money over our politicians. Missourians want more honest representation. And of course, if he's innocent, the investigation would clear him and he could begin his term without the shadow of some unsavory practices over his head. Some people might be concerned about an unnecessary cost incurred by the investigation if in fact he is innocent, but I wouldn't be all that concerned because he's going to be investigated anyway. After every Senate election, the state auditor, in this case Nicole Galloway, examines the new senator's office and checks for any areas of improvement, make sure everything is on the up and up. It's just the way things are done. I want a clean government, and I would feel exactly the same way if it were a Democrat or an independent in his shoes. And I'd just like to point out that the Secretary of State, Jay Ashcroft, could tell you firsthand that it's not always a political death sentence if you're caught doing this, since he was caught doing it twice before, once as Secretary of State and previously as the Attorney General. I'll be sure to let you know if anything does come of this. For now, though, thanks for watching. I'm D, you're dope, and you know what? Smart is the new sexy. Till next time, peace.